The sky over the Pacific carried the smell of burning fuel. The deck shook under every blast. A young anti-aircraft gunner on the USS Astoria gripped the hot metal of his 5-inch mount. His hands felt raw. His ears rang. Smoke curled around him and drifted across the sea like a moving wall. He saw the shadow of a diving Japanese aircraft growing larger by the second. The wind cut his face. Shrapnel clattered across the deck. He tasted salt and cordite. He yelled for another shell, but the loader beside him hesitated. The barrel glowed red. The next seconds would decide if their cruiser lived or died. The gunner wiped sweat from his eyes and prepared to do something that looked reckless, felt reckless, but had one purpose: keep the ship alive. The Battle of Midway began on the 4th of June, 1942, after months of rising tension between American and Japanese strategy. Japan planned a complex strike to lure out and destroy the remaining U.S. carriers. Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto believed a blow near Midway Island would force an American response. American codebreakers had uncovered key details of the operation. They knew the approximate timing and the units involved. Even so, the Japanese Navy sailed with the most experienced carrier force in the world. Their air groups had trained for long-range strikes and had already proven their skill at Pearl Harbor and in the Indian Ocean. Midway Atoll sat isolated in the Central Pacific. It held runways, anti-aircraft guns, and a small garrison preparing for full-scale assault. The U.S. Navy positioned Task Force 16 and Task Force 17 northeast of the island. These formations carried aircraft for search, interception, and counterattack. Cruisers formed protective screens around the carriers. Their job was clear: stop incoming bombers and torpedo planes long enough for fighters to intercept. USS Astoria, a New Orleans-class heavy cruiser, joined this screen. She carried 9 8-inch guns and multiple 5-inch mounts. Her anti-aircraft battery had grown, but every ship still wished for more guns. Her crew had trained for high-angle fire, but gained new lessons with each patrol. They understood the danger of Japanese carrier aviation. A single accurate attack could cripple any ship. When the first wave of Japanese aircraft approached Midway Island, the American carriers stayed hidden. Their cruisers remained in defensive positions. As the flight paths shifted toward the U.S. ships, the sun climbed higher and scattered clouds opened. Visibility improved. Radar operators picked up incoming aircraft. Lookouts confirmed direction and altitude. Air defense teams prepared for constant adjustment. Every mount checked fuse, settings, and elevations. Every crew braced for violent motion as the ships increased speed to complicate attack angles. Astoria's gunners had practiced for months, but combat always pushed equipment beyond training. Heat built fast. Vibration loosened tools. Sweat blurred vision. The ship's turns disrupted aim. Waves struck the hull hard enough to throw men against bulkheads. A loader slipped on spent casings. Another hesitated as he forced heavy shells into place. A mount jammed from heat expansion. Crews worked fast to clear problems. They cooled barrels. They shifted ammunition paths. They adapted to each failure under fire. The young gunner at the center of the coming action had joined the ship shortly before the battle. He served on a 5-inch mount controlled by hydraulic elevation. His role required speed, strength, and attention to fuse settings. He followed every regulation during the opening moments. Japanese pilots pressed their attack with precision. They descended steeply and changed altitude often. They weaved through fragmentation bursts. They searched for a clean line to release their bombs or torpedoes. Astoria's gunners fired in fast patterns, but accuracy mattered more than volume. Fatigue became a human factor. The crew had slept little. Sweat mixed with oil. The smell of propellant filled their lungs. Some gunners fought nausea from fumes and motion. Others battled trembling hands. They understood the stakes. Any failure could let an attacker slip through. The tactical picture depended on layered defense. The carriers launched fighters to intercept incoming formations. Destroyers created smokescreens when possible. Cruisers provided concentrated fire. Timing controlled effectiveness. A 1-second error in fuse setting could make a shell useless. The technological demands were high. The 5-inch guns used separate loading ammunition. Each shell and powder case required manual handling. Heat threatened safe operation. The anti-aircraft directors calculated firing solutions using analog systems that required constant updates under chaotic conditions. From the Japanese perspective, pilots expected intense anti-aircraft fire. They flew damaged aircraft. Many approached with low fuel. They descended through scattered cloud layers and made rapid final dives to reduce exposure. Their goal was singular: disable the American carriers. The turning point began when Astoria faced torpedo planes approaching at low altitude. Multiple groups tried to break the screen from different directions. The cruiser turned sharply. The deck tilted. Gun crews struggled to keep balance. Incoming aircraft closed the distance fast. A burning Nakajima B-5N streamed toward the ship. Smoke trailed behind it. Despite flames, the pilot held a steady line. Astoria's mount tracked the aircraft, but the firing rhythm slowed. The loader hesitated. The barrel temperature had risen dangerously. He feared a misfeed. The gunner realized they had no time. He grabbed the shell himself. Heat burned his palms. He forced the round into position with a fast, twisting motion. In training, instructors discouraged this method because it could destabilize timing on overheated machinery. The mechanism locked. The powder case followed. The breech slammed shut. The mount adjusted angle. He fired. The shell detonated near the B-5N's wing root. Fragmentation tore through the control surfaces. The aircraft rolled and struck the water before releasing its torpedo. The moment broke the tension around the mount. The loader recovered. The rhythm returned. The gunner continued the quick motion, more controlled now, but still faster than protocol. Their fire helped disrupt another torpedo run. Nearby crews adjusted their pace after seeing the effect. Astoria maintained steady patterns of accurate fire. Some planes burst into flame, others veered off. Torpedo wakes passed harmlessly behind the ships. Combined fire from the cruiser group thinned the final waves before they reached the carriers. The larger battle turned elsewhere when American dive bombers struck the Japanese carriers Akagi, Kaga, and Soryu. Their decks erupted in flames, their hangars filled with fuel vapor. Damage spread fast. Japanese naval aviation lost the core of its frontline strength in minutes. Hiryu launched counterattacks, but the momentum had shifted. Yorktown suffered heavy damage but survived long enough for an orderly evacuation. Astoria continued its screen as the battle evolved. Alerts continued, but no major strikes followed. Slowly, the tension eased. The gunner who made the fast reload shook as he cleaned his mount. Officers inspected equipment and documented heat damage. They noted the technique he used. It was risky, but it had worked under extreme conditions. The mount had operated near maximum safe limits. The aftermath changed the Pacific War. Japan lost 4 fleet carriers and many experienced aviators. Their offensive strength dropped sharply. The United States gained strategic momentum. Shipyards accelerated carrier production. Naval aviation expanded. Astoria survived without major damage. Her crew treated minor injuries and repaired overloaded components. Reports credited several gun mounts with breaking up torpedo attacks. The gunner's action was noted as decisive in preventing at least one strike from reaching its release point. Losses were heavy on both sides. Yorktown later sank after a submarine attack. Japanese survivors returned to weakened carrier groups that never recovered their early war proficiency. Midway forced Japan into long-term defensive operations. For the United States, the battle reinforced the value of code breaking and radar coordination. It pushed rapid development of proximity fuses for anti-aircraft shells. It also showed the need for more training on high-heat reload conditions. Human judgment had filled gaps where technology struggled. The world learned that large battles often turn on small decisions. A single moment of initiative can protect entire ships. Training, discipline, and adaptability shape outcomes when machines reach their limits. The young gunner on Astoria did not change the war alone. He changed the next minutes for his ship. His action kept one torpedo plane from releasing its weapon. His decision helped his cruiser survive. Midway stands as a record of human choices in the center of mechanical chaos. It showed how preparation and courage can hold the line when the margin between survival and loss narrows 2 seconds.